This video will run you through the second part of your poetry exam. This is a two-part section within the exam. It's section B, and it's related to your anthology poems, as you'll know from looking at the exam outline video. Section B, as I said, is just the anthology poems, but it's split into two halves. So the first half of which they will give you a named poem. As you can see at the top here, we've got that this is the particular mark scheme just for the named question. So it's a two-part question that is linked. Now, this particular question is assessing AO2, Assessment Objective 2. Now, the key things that we need to think about in this assessment objective is how you, the reader, and not you as in personal opinion, you're taking, remember, the view of anyone reading the poem rather than just your personal viewpoint. So avoid things such as I think and to me this means. You're talking about a wider readership. So they're looking for how you explain the impact upon the reader of the language, the structure and the form, and how those contribute to the writer's ideas, themes and settings. Okay, so we're talking about the impact upon the reader from the writer's creation in the terms of that particular poem chosen. You will see that similarly to your previous questions mark scheme, there, and all of your controlled assessments indeed, there are bands 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and up to band 5, the bottom being a U and the top obviously being an A star. In general terms, although it changes every year, and this is a very small section of an exam which is sitting within the body of the larger GCSE of Literature GCSE, it counts as a small amount, so you cannot say this is reflective of your grade, but in general terms an A star would be at the top towards an A, B, C, D, E, F, G and U at the bottom. And again, the boundaries change every year, so you cannot rely on previous years, although you can take it as an indicator, as we have done in class. So having a look into the skills, because as we know, the skills that are applicable for band 5 are also applicable for band 1. It's just the difference in which you approach those particular skills. So the skills that you'll be looking at are how the writer conveys their attitude to create a certain effect. Then they'll be looking for you to link those attitudes expressed for effect in terms of how they've presented their ideas. So that's, if you like, it's kind of they're looking at whether you understand what they're trying to get across to their reader and how they're presenting it. So that could be in terms of structure, in terms of the layout of the particular poem, the order in which the events occur, the form of which the poem takes, or it could also be the language devices, the poetic devices they're employing within that particular poem. And the final skill that they're looking for in every single band is that you are able to select textual reference that supports the things that you're pointing out. So they're looking that you understand what they mean, that you can see how they've presented that to the reader, and that you can support that with evidence. So very simple, the same skills that you're using in your Of Mice and Men section of your language exam that you're doing within the same time period, and within the first section of this particular exam. Now, just as we saw in the last exam question, the skills that they're looking for just differ in terms of the sophistication in which you're expressing your understanding of that. So that purely means that you are either going to be doing it in a sound way, a sound manner generally, that you will be making a relevant connection between things, and that you're mostly clear in band 1, moving up to sound all of the time, relevant and sound all of the time, and you're much clearer in band 2. Going up to band 3, and again this is going up in terms of the grades as well, but again because it's a small section we can't be as accurate as we would for the whole GCSE. But in band 3 you're going to be thorough, you're going to be sustained, so thorough in terms of not just clear, you've really thought through and you're explaining your ideas and you're sustaining that, so you're keeping it going all the way through your discussion on that particular poem. Now that may mean that you need to slow down your writing and not just put everything down that's in your head straight away, but that you really take that time to think about how you're structuring your ideas, how you're expressing that, and how someone else, i.e. the examiner, will understand what you're trying to show in your writing. Again, we can see that that needs to be sustained, so all the way through, and that you will be supporting the answers. So moving on to band 4, you're beginning to become assured in your explanation. So you're not just thorough, you're not doing everything in detail, you're actually starting to have quite a secure voice, and you seem like you are comfortable with what you're saying, that you've thought it through. And again, that will come with revision and knowing your poems, being comfortable with it and having done the practice. So that's really important that you've done the practice for the planning of your essays, and that you've also done the practice of understanding the different ideas that the poet's trying to get across and writing about that perhaps in a timed condition. Now, you can see here now it begins to mention words such as relevant. So it's not just you're sustaining your presentation of your understanding rather of the ideas the writer's trying to get across. You're actually making it extremely relevant and connecting it to the attitudes that writer's trying to present to you. And now when it comes to the textual reference, you can see that they've used the word pertinent. Now, in a way, this could mean that you are really selecting your quotes because it is the correct quote for the points that you've made and the ideas that you're saying the writer has. So it's fitting. It fits extremely well with the points that you've made and what you've been trying to express through your argument. Going into band 5, you'll see that they're using words such as perceptive, discriminating, convincing. Now they're looking for some real sophistication here. They're looking for you to bring original, unusual ideas that are well thought out, that you have really considered prior to the exam, and that will tell in your writing. If you've done practice exam papers, if you've done essay plans, naturally you'll be moving much more towards being perceptive because you'll be comfortable. You won't have to do that thinking in the exam. You will have already done that. You'll be focusing on your expression and making sure that you're convincing that particular examiner that you know what you're talking about and you're comfortable expressing those ideas. And discriminating, you have lots that you could choose from. You've chosen specific examples, not because they're the ones you know, because they are the ones that are right for this question. So again, it's all about you knowing those poems, having done the practice. All the best with your revision. Hope it's going well.